Welcome to the Bite of Art podcasts, your daily dose of contemporary art insights. My name is Ivan Despotovic, and together with my guests, I'm going to guide you through the latest trends and developments in contemporary art world. This podcast is part of the Bite of Art initiative that is co-founded by the Creative Europe program of the European Union. And our aim and ambition within the initiative is to bring innovation in creation, dissemination, and consumption of contemporary art, making it more attractive, accessible, and mainstream throughout Europe. Here with me is Mia David, a person whom I so many times heard that it is hard to announce you due to your diverse career, but I'm now facing the same problem since I know you from many aspects of your career and what you have done so far. But I would say as a bottom line that you are an activist, an individual trying to search for various forms to positively shape and impact the environment in which you live and the world around you. So was I correct in that announcement?
Actually, I hate that term. I hate term activist because I think that everybody should do what they believe in, and that term is for me totally, it is not a profession. So I would introduce myself, and I always introduce myself as an architect, because that was my first education, and then I did a PhD in scene art. But actually, and yes, it's true that I changed the field of my practice quite a lot, but I think that I always actually deal with two, let's say, topics: space and text, all kind of narratives, meta text, pretext, context, and things like that. So I did architecture, and then I went to journalism, and I'm now mostly in contemporary art as curator, but I did theater, but I always deal with text and with space.
But you're also an artist. You have...
from time to time.
But even activism can be, when you say architect, I'm always thinking that even architect can be considered as activism in the sense that you are creating the world. Architects are always creating something.
That's very tricky position, because architecture is so connected with the money and with the power.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
This is like, you can be it's very important position because you really shape the world. But in today's world, I think the architecture is like evil profession, especially here. Yeah. And I'm very lucky that I'm not in that field anymore, so I can really criticize the position of my colleagues and what they're doing, because we have, as you know, many very evil projects going on, from Belgrade on Water to Expo and all kinds of different things that are connected with neoliberalism in hardcore, meaning not thinking about real needs of people, but thinking just about profit.
Profit, yeah, that's true. Speaking about you and how you came to this position. So when you were starting, you decided, was the first impression that you want to be an architect? Because you say that all the people should be an activist or do what they believe in, but in fact, they're not. And not so many people are active in changing the society where they live in, unlike you. So I'm curious, when this urge to do such things came to you?
But that's I think why I'm saying it like this, because it was always like that. It probably comes from my father. He was an urbanist, and he was really actively changing the society where he lived in during 70s and 80s. He ran something that was called CEP, and they had some event called Communications, and it was very, prominent, important event for architecture. He died before changes. He died 2000. at May, and I think probably for me and my sister, that was kind of legacy, not something that I have to do, but it was part of, I don't know, education from home or whatever. So I think that people who make changes in the world, they have that urge, as you said. And why the others are not doing that? Because they don't have that urge. Yeah. People are, in general, looking for a good living. And that is the only, I think, ambition that most of the people have.
But still, if they're looking for good living, they're actually subjected to other people's beliefs and the values and how they see the world. Even you, how, because you are fighting for that world, they are subjected to your desire among other.
But it's very hard to explain that.
Yeah, true. So, how hard is for you to be an activist and as well an artist and as well a media professional and so on? So,
I think today it's harder than it was before, because when I was younger, I was never really, not even now. It's not something that I think of. It's just I'm doing things that I believe in. Why I think it's harder now? First of all, because I'm older, and I'm more aware, and sometimes the people that you love are not in the same, let's say, sometimes even we don't share the same values. You can love people from different reasons, and sometimes I really, maybe not sometimes, the primal feeling that I have is loneliness, because many times I feel like that everybody looks at me like I'm totally, that I'm full, crazy, childish, and that I'm fighting for something that is totally irrational and things like that. And it's now harder because I'm older, and sometimes I know that I go into fights with people that I love, and I don't want to hurt them, and so it's complex. And also because before we had, like, how to say, the goal was more obvious, and it was easier to address the enemy. And now it's like, what we are fighting? We are fighting capitalism, and this is, I mean, it's really like, you know that, I mean, I know that I cannot beat that beast, and what we are fighting is all over. It's not Serbia anymore. It's all over the world. We are fighting for some values that does not exist anymore. I am fighting. So I know that I'm also professor, so I have that, facing my students every day, and I'm seeing how we are shifting from what I was, the values that I grow up with, how we are shifting towards something that I don't understand really.
Yeah, but there is always that discussion whether we can use the elements of, let's say, that capitalism and shape it to, or fight those negative sides and so on, but...
Yeah,
because you cannot live completely
outside,
separated. We are
course.
using phones, for example, as a start, and then to continue.
No,
on.
of course, you cannot live out of society.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so hard, because you're fighting something that you're, using in everyday life all segments of that society. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I already have an answer to a question, because I wanted to ask you what drive you in your career most, like political and social developments, or maybe some deeper social, let's say, I would say that deeper social pressure, and what we always feel. For example, like my generation, we always feel pressure, because I'm now 34. I want to say 30 something, but 34, 35 this year. And my friends and me, until recently, we faced the pressure of having traditional family and children and so on, traditional role of the woman and so on. I believe that those were, let's say, mostly some topics what inspired you more in your career, and even you are now having exhibition which considers aging, but it's still what do you expect from yourself in considering in regard to aging, and what others expect. So
yeah, it's not easy to answer your question, but I would say that it's not that I had never ever like topic that I'm fighting for. It's more like how I'm aging or growing up. Things are changing for me, for myself, and in that sense, I would say that I have artistic nature, if we can say that, because all my fights are deeply connected with myself, actually, and I'm always fighting for the topics that are very close to what I feel in that moment. So sometimes I believe that everything is politics, so it's aging is also politics because we are talking about the role of a woman in society. Feminism, of course, is politics, traditional family, whatever you... I would say that there is no art that is not political art. The topic could be more daily politics or more general topic. So that's something that changed through my career and my aging, let's say. But what was the question?
Actually, it was this. What drives you most when you actually start?
It's not ego, because ego is not my first characteristic, but I'm kind of selfish. It's not ego, but I'm really dealing with myself. That was also the one of the reasons why I left architecture, because I always felt here in faculty, in every faculty of architecture, I would say, probably, they teach us how we are so important because we shape other people's life. And I always felt that this is such a big burden, and also it's not true. I mean, how can I know how you should live? I mean, I don't know that for myself. And for me, it's always been like, I don't want that responsibility for the society. So I should figure for myself how I should live and then offer something. Yeah.
Thank you. I completely agree, and that actually citizens should have responsibility for their lives in any sphere. And I think that there is a huge lack of responsibility in the world right now, and everybody is trying to stand behind someone or something. But let's speak about contemporary art and how it is important today. How do you think that contemporary art is important in shaping societies and activism, let's say, in contemporary art?
I think that actually I'm a very good example, because I entered art as audience. After faculty, I spent 1 year. I always loved school. I still do. So I spent 1 year in Center of Contemporary Art. At that time, that was something that Soros sponsored, and for me it was mind-blowing, because first of all I saw that some people also think, not just architects, and it really opened for me so many things in my head. And then I started more and more to visit exhibitions, and art is like every form of art, visual art or music or whatever, is a language that you are learning. And that happiness when you see something that you know it's a reference from something else, that maybe that's really kind of nerd, but I'm really happy every time when I can recognize something. And I really entered art as audience, and I started to learn by myself. And that led me one thing by another, and then I started to work in Culture Center, and we were the producers of October Salon. At that time, it was the most important exhibit. It still is, but at that time, Museum of Contemporary Art and National Museum were closed, so it was really only exhibition that was offered to audience, and I learned a lot. And from there, it is now more than 10 years ago, I started also to curate. I mean, I did something before, but I was not really aware that this is curation. But then I started, and for me, it's like to be director, but not in theater because we are not dealing with people. And for me, curation is sometimes people are like, then for you, text is most important. No, but then that is how to say it, but that is where my ego is in a sense, because how I work in contemporary art, I know it's not quite often, and it's probably because I'm coming from different field. I always write text first, and then I invite artists, and then I'm trying to put some art pieces in context of what I want to say. So it is always political, whatever it is. Yeah. And in that sense, I think art is extremely important, because for me, art really, visual art changed my life. So I know that this is possible. And also, I think that is what art can do. It's not that we are changing the world, I mean, but we can change people one by one. And how art does that? By actually showing us different perspective of things. So, and I think it's easier for audience when you, especially today, because the world we live in is so polarized, and you have to have opinion on every topic, and it's really hard to have it because you have so many information that are not knowledge, that are like other people's opinions without any, I don't know, the foundation of knowledge. And it's really, now it's, I read something that we are in the era like it was mid-century, mid-century, srednji vek, medieval, medieval, concerning that we have to decide to whom we trust. You don't have, like, I was raised on modernism, and then you know a temple of knowledge. School is temple of knowledge, and you know, or library. So you go there for knowledge, and now you have everything, all kind of information, and you have to decide and choose to whom to believe. And it's really, if you're in position that you're, for example, anti-vaxxer, which I do not recommend, I'm pro-vaxxer, and you're in that position, then you feel that everybody is attacking you. So I think a role of art, and I really took a stupid example, but it's maybe to show you how you can think of that topic differently without punching you, without fighting you with fist and face-to-face. So you can see, for example, this art piece, and then you go and you think alone, did that something to me? Do I feel something, and why? Why something is disturbing? Why something makes me happy? What is the ingredients? Why something communicates with me and something not?
You put me now in a big dilemma, because listening to you, I want to develop this conversation in two separate directions, and I don't know where to go first. First of all, we as a Byte Initiative, we wanted exactly to do that, to bring more contemporary art closer to the audience. And the thing which we find out at the very beginnings were that a lot of people are afraid of being ignorant, and contemporary art knows to be abstract. So we were, since then, we are fighting the position that we want to step in between the audience and the artist, but do not meddle in the message, but still trying somehow not only to amplify the message, but to help them to actually understand, to ask the questions, to actually to allow them to ask them. You said, did this do something to me? And we want to ask them because maybe they're not going to ask that themselves, and so on. So we are fighting that very difficult position, and I think that this is the biggest challenge of contemporary art today. And correct me if I'm wrong, but people are afraid of being ignorant, and they don't want to be that. All people want to be smart and so on, and they are afraid of not understanding
they're afraid that they will be stupid, and I totally understand that. But what they don't understand is, and by some strange light facts, I'm now actually teaching art history and also contemporary art, and I am so happy and lucky to be able to teach my students about that, how to look at the art, how to approach the art. Because, for example, my mother, she's not from that field. She thinks that she understands Baroque or Renaissance art better. And in general, people think that they understand that because they see, I don't know, figurative art, and I know what is on end, this is some kind of flowers. But actually, when you want to understand, really to understand, then you start to see that there is, at that time as well, and even now, you have all sorts of codes, and you don't understand that art piece from Renaissance if you don't know what was the code for how to read that art. And it's like that today. And what I'm saying to my students is two things. First of all, if they perform as artists, that title is half of reading of that is something that can give a clue to audience what you wanted to say. If you want them to have a clue, this is one thing. Yeah. And the other thing is also, it's okay if I, as teachers, say this is, masterpiece, and if you don't see it, it's okay. It's really everybody. It's like learning English or French. I mean, with practicing, you have bigger vocabulary, and you can say more precisely what you want to say, and also you can understand better. So this is, just for us, our job is to open the doors of galleries, and to start to be more approachable, and also not to practice that elitism. But then this is the other side of that, is that kind of elitism transfer visual art into industries or business. And if it's not so elite, you cannot sell it. Exactly. So we have it's very hard because at the same time, gallery wants to be very special and very different from everybody else, and to have that kind of magic and something that you don't understand, but because if we all understand that everybody can do that and things like that. On the other hand, if you have that very small circle, then it's really doing nothing. Exactly. In a wider context.
Yeah. But you're now curating once led very important institution, Cultural Center of Belgrade. So now, from this perspective, past 10 years almost, I think, or right this year, 10 years, would you do something differently to more open, more communicate some messages with the audience? Because I'm asking today, I see that galleries are taking some more proactive stance in actually bringing closer art, but still insufficient to my...
I think that it was a very different time at that time. That's first thing. And I think that now with when my feelings are not so, when I'm not so emotional, I think that we really did a very good job in those circumstances. At that time, Culture Center was the only active institution, and it really had very good people inside institutions. So at that time, for those 4 years that I was director, we opened a third gallery, now Gallery Podrum. We started October Salon collection, which now has more than 130 artists and I don't know how many art pieces. So we opened a future building of City Museum. We are sitting in a salon of City Museum. Was opened by October Salon, that building, and is now under reconstruction. So we did quite a lot. What really changed in between is that private galleries are rising in Serbia. 10 years ago, you maybe had 2, Zvono, House, and that was it. And now I think there is 20 maybe, or even more.
Or even more.
No, probably more, but let's say 20. Yes. Relevant, yeah. Or even less than 20, but okay. Yeah. And there is some kind of tries, or how to say it, to establish something that is, how to say, some kind of market and some kind of clear situation for artists and for professionals in contemporary art. And as I said, it's not easy. I'm now curating, I'm working in the November Gallery as curator, and it's extremely hard actually to join those two expectations, to have exhibitions that are very, how to say, easy to understand and communicating with the audience on one hand, and on the other hand to provide some conditions for artists to be able to work, and also to provide, and what is the best condition that you can give them is to sell their art, and we don't have market for that still. People who are buying art in Serbia are still buying dead artists because they are kind of
investment.
Yeah, it's investment, and they're not risking with that. And we still don't have not real. We don't have any market for contemporary art, so it's extremely hard.
Yeah, I want actually one complete topic of one complete episode I'm going to devote to the art market and starting a collection, as I do believe that it is important to actually share some tips with young people, but I know that in Serbia it's extremely hard to start an art collection and the regulations are...
No, what is also very hard, it's as gallery, you're trying to build that bridge and trust between artist and gallery. And in normal countries, by doing the job properly and correctly in some time, like maybe 10 years, you can be like positive zero or something, you can have some small profit. There is no gallery in Serbia that are even breaking. It's everybody who has gallery, they're investing money. And it's very hard for artists to understand that. And then it's also it's really, and on the other hand, with all social media, every artist is approachable. Yeah. So it's very hard to to make that kind of bond. Because we as gallery, we are not offering enough on one hand, and on the other hand, because of that, artists cannot commit, and then you are in that very weird position where when you approach artists directly, it's like half price, then it's through gallery.
Through galleries, yeah. And but still, gallery plays some important role. But then digital and should use digital tools somehow to navigate it. But it's changing. I think that this is what I want to discuss in that episode.
Yeah. Let's move from that
changing,
topic.
Yeah, with you. But let's go back to our discussion. And you at one point you said that people during the COVID pandemic, people didn't trust the medicine. And you said bad example. I think it's perfect example because that period highlighted in complete world, I think, how much people do not trust institutions, either educational institutions, medical institutions, or even some other democratic institutions like even political parties and so on. And there is a huge mistrust, which led to huge also lack of participation in politics in general. And I wanted to ask, because over these 6 years, how much I'm here in contemporary art, I always see that contemporary art has potential to step in instead and take the role of political parties in shaping the social narrative, in making an impact on the society in educational terms. Because previously you had political party and what political parties stand for and so on, they're shaping, or even that one in power, they're shaping the narrative. But now people do not trust in general political parties and politicians. And I think that maybe they can have some trustful connection with contemporary art.
It's very good that you said that because in this moment we have in November exhibition by two artists, Slavica Obradović and Vlada Miladinović. He is always working with archives, and in this exhibition he showed screens from news from Twitter and other social media during the pandemic, and he's not commenting, he is copying those screenshots. And when you see and read that, you have different connection towards that than when you go through your phone. And you can really read so many stupid things from sometimes very prominent medias. And there is also, we made an installation from one of those news that is connected with this war, Israel-Palestinian war. And it's kind of, now this is interpretation, but like Al Jazeera title, birds are helping people in Gaza overcome fear from bombing of Israelis, whatever. We were bombed. We know that during bombing, birds are not singing. The other thing is, in gallery, we put birds in cages, and so this is kind of installation. And during the opening, when a lot of people were there, they were not singing because they're afraid. So this title is obviously, when you think about that, something pathetic that goes to your emotion, nothing there is nothing real in that. And we had an opening comment from somebody who was very shaken by and he said, that guy said that this is on the urge of anti-Semitism, because we highlighted that news and put that into installation, and this is against Israelis. That was against Jews, and I was like, Mia David, are you crazy? I mean, really, are you crazy? But it was, I think, perfect example how much we are stuck in our positions, and how much we feel that we are threatened by everybody. And I was really, because when we talked about that, for me it was like, it's kind of, common, and it's like mainstream to be for Palestinians now. And I was like, maybe not that, let's do something else, because it's kind of obvious. I mean, but it's not. It's not. It's not. On the other hand, as you know, I did 2 times, I was participating context for rethinking or new ways of thinking of monument for Srebrenica. And I did 2 completely different projects. One was application for a mobile phone, where we did augmented reality. When you face the phone towards National Assembly, you could see the names of dead people and how old they were. So that was first project. The other project I did with my colleague from Zagreb, Antonio Grgić, and we proposed the forest for for every people who died, and we proposed like participatory project where you can, everybody could donate, so you buy 1 tree for one. So, and I still think it's a very good project. So, of course, it's still, topic is stronger than art, and it's not, it's not possible to think. And what I wanted to say is sometimes the reality is so strong and you cannot go even one step back to rethink what is our reality. I think that when I'm going back to beginning, you can talk about 2 different things. One is how we call it, one is art that is engaged with politics, and I think every art is. But then you're making some kind of comment. And the other is using art to say something about politics, and this is different things, because sometimes it's not art piece, it's just using artistic tools. So there are 2 ways how to engage art to tell some kind of story. For me, it's more important or more true, or whatever you want to say, to let artists do what they, to let them perceive the world as they see it, and give us through their eyes to see what is the world we live in. And then you connect, or you're not connected.
But do you think that maybe galleries should do something to encourage that kind of art?
Of course, I think so. But on the other hand, it's also very hard, because you're sitting we are now in Serbia, and we know what Serbia looks like. There are some topics that are not, there are actually, I think, just 2 topics that are not welcomed. The first one is, of course, Kosovo, and the other is Srebrenica. Everything else you can comment.
Discuss.
Discuss, yeah.
Thank you. Since your career as I know that you don't like to call you activist, but your career as an activist lasts for quite some time. Did something change with new technologies, let's say recent 10 years and so on? Because I think that people are mostly relying to digital tools when it comes to activism, and how is in the artistic scene?
That's very good question, but I'm probably not the good person to answer that, because I was participating in one conference 2 weeks ago where we talked exactly about that, about using digital tools in contemporary art. I'm too old, and for me, I'm trying and I am learning because I'm teacher, because I'm professor, and I'm really trying to stay connected with my students. But for them, for younger people, this is something, this is their, they don't have to learn. This is something that for them it's there. So we are not in the same position. And I think it will change quite a lot. And I think for people of my generation or little bit younger who were already grown up when this technological boom happened, it's our duty actually is to think how to create interesting and how to create spaces in digital who are interested enough to go there for knowledge. Because what I think, I can put knowledge. I think younger generations with all sort of information, they lack knowledge. Especially because you have that idea that you can find everything very easy, that you can find knowledge very easy. And I feel when I'm saying this like I'm 100 and I'm just 50. But I had to go to library. You had to put some effort into any knowledge. So when you put effort, you also feel better when you conquer something. And I think this is the big difference between those generations. So I think our role is to find ways how to knowledge that we have, how to present it and find some niches in digital where younger people could go to take that knowledge and to transform it into something else. I'm very skeptical about that I will be able to use new technologies as my students.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm even not only in art, I'm thinking about in every single aspect of life. And I always had that struggle in my life, fighting for something, for apartment, for education, for anything. And then I'm thinking, I just received a son a few months ago. And now I'm thinking, like, from one side, I know that it make a good person out of me that fight that struggle and learn me a lot. But from the other side, I'm not sure whether I would like to see that my son is actually having so much struggle in life, and curious to see whether access to everything and let's say not easiness in access, but let's say that he is going to have access to much more things in life than I did, whether it will make him more successful, more happier, or anything in his life. So
I doubt that because I think that actually I really believe that it doesn't matter. Everybody has their own struggles, and what I see in students is that they lack the passion, I think, because of because they have access to everything. It's very hard to choose. They don't know how to orient it towards something. They have feelings that everything is accessible, but again, it's not. And I think it's different struggle, but it's still struggle.
It's still struggle.
Yeah.
For the end, I have so many questions I want to ask you, but I know that we cannot talk a whole day here and record. Nobody's going to watch that.
Because we are not Gallup podcast.
Yes, 3 hours and a couple of episodes. So I wanted to ask you for the end, what would you advise, let's say that you're telling to your students in regard to activism and art, what would you say to them for the future?
It's not a future tense, it's happening every day. I actually hate those, to give advices, but I think there are two things actually, and it's not connected with generation or whatever. You have to fight for what you believe in, and you have to find passion in your life. And without that, there is, from my point of view, it's not worth living.
So if I title it "Without Passion, There Is No Activism," this topic of podcast episode, that would be appropriate.
Could say, yeah.
Thank you, Mia, for being a guest of Bite of Art podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for listening to Bite of Art podcasts. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more trends in contemporary art. See you until next episode.